been a conscious effort of mine since beginning this channel that I wouldn't compare one game to another in a review. Using the shorthand of "this is just better," this just sounds like a bunch of pedantic wankery. But to commit some pedantic wankery of my own, here's Earth, a game that's like, yo, what if I had the engine building a terraforming Mars with Ark Nova's naturalist bent, Wingspan's action selection and follow through, with just a hint, just a smidge of Takenoko because component stackery is cool. And those are 4 hot names to drop, but influence does not necessarily mean excellence. So without further comparison, let's take a look at this planetary kitchen sink, Earth. Like traveling on a horse with no name, in Earth you'll be immersed with plants and birds and rocks and things as you essentially terraform your personal island to suit the needs of a random 4 critters and 2 ecosystems set up on display. These make up the broad strokes of what you may want to pursue, but you'll also select an island, climate, and personal ecosystem for yourself, dictating some starting features, abilities, and goals. Each turn, a player selects one of 4 colored actions atop their player board, performing that action whilst every other player gets a lesser version of that action. Then all players activate abilities of that color amongst their starting and constructed cards in their island, initially a paltry sum, but eventually a dizzying cascade of powerful abilities on every turn. One of the cooler bits of design trickery about this game is the activations on every player's turn. It's a subtle thing, really, but it adds just the right amount of indirect player interaction. Not only does it start to influence what cards you put into your island, either focusing on what you want to lean into or broadening out to better capitalize on other players, but you start to develop a keen awareness of just what sort of tasty goodness they get when choosing your action for a turn. It doesn't totally dictate the way that you play, but it's a nice way to web the players together in a type of game that is typically pretty independent. Among the 4 actions, you can plant new cards into your 4x4 restricted island, which, yes, proximity is a thing for a variety of reasons, paying the cost of each card in soil, which the next action is composting, where you just get some soil and add some cards to your face-down compost pile, a stack of discarded cards from your hand or the deck tucked away for points. But then there's the 2 remaining actions, watering and growth. The former adding cubes to the flora on your island and netting a lower amount of soil, the latter drawing cards and stacking the cute little tree trunks worth fat points if fully grown at the end of the game. But this is really what the game is all about, the tight network of interactions between all things at the table. I mean, everything in your island is worth points, right? But a good chunk of cards you play will be habitats, giving passive powers and a huge amount of points from everything to various tags in play to positioning of cards in your island. And those compost cards, trunks, growth cubes, they're all worth a point apiece at the end of the game, but they also play into various animal and ecosystem scoring you could be racing toward, and you better believe there's a host of game effects that use those same cubes, trunks, and compost as currency in one way or another, not to mention the stock 3 cube to 2 soil trade you can make at any time. This internal exchange, the relationship between yours and other players' action choices, the triggering abilities on an otherwise simplistic action selection system, it all gives this feeling of a vast interconnected network, which is both mechanically tasty and thematically quite appropriate. That said, this connectivity bears a heavy burden. Earth is a game of tension and pressure. By the halfway mark, you might find you're serving a dozen or more point-proliferating masters, muddying what may be the otherwise focused thrust you set off to begin with. And for being a game all about playing in the dirt, there's a certain sterile quality to it. Multitudes of cards filed into abstract equivalents with mechanical precision. They're definitely cards you want, but rarely one that feels like was born for your island. This game, and as a product, your gameplay is much less about parts than it is the greater whole. There's a brilliance to Earth, vibrant and harmonious, an elegant display with a vast ecosystem underneath. And while it wears its influences on its sleeve, like nature, it adapts what works, cuts what doesn't, and improves along the way. I don't think it supplants its forebears, though, who might be a little more specific, a little more leaned into different niches, but I don't think it means to either. Earth is impressively cohesive, an economic engine builder with a genuinely well thought through ecological theme, one that stands confidently on its own. That's our review, but let us know, what is your favorite naturalistic, ecologically themed game, and what is your favorite engine builder? Put it in the comments below to help everyone out, because you've been such a great audience, you've been such a great community, and you've always been a great support to us here. And so I want to say thank you, and I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald.